Presenting Steve Wirth is his longtime friend, Edward Helpman.
Well, good morning. Good morning. Hello. Hello. Yes. So this has to be the easiest job of the day because there's probably not a person in the room that doesn't know our next inductee. But my connection to Steve goes back a little longer than his law career. I first met Steve in 1988. I was working at Medic Rescue in Beaver County. We had just gone through a merger of two services, and it was decided that we should go out and explore other ambulance services that were similar size and scope. Now, the criteria was they had to be close enough that we could get to, but far enough away that we weren't going to compete. So the first number that I called was the business office at Emergicare. And the first person I spoke to was the director of operations. And unfortunately, he was a little nervous about talking to somebody he didn't know. So he said, I should let you talk to my boss. And the next person who answered the phone was Steve Wirth. We went back and forth, road trips to Erie, took some folks up, they brought some folks down. And that began a relationship that has now endured 38 years. And we've traveled to conferences together. Now I go to his conferences. That worked. Anyway, I would like to take no further time introducing you to Steve Wirth, the man who needs no introduction. Thank you, Steve. Good luck. Knock 'em dead.
Thank you. Well, thank you, Ed, for that kind introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, I am acutely aware of the fact that I am the only thing remaining standing between you and lunch. And that is a very dangerous position to be in front of an EMS crowd, as we all know. But I'm very grateful for being here and thank the folks at eServices and everybody who put this amazing event together. All of us honorees are most appreciative. And when you look at the honorees that were here today, the 6 of us, and I looked at the numbers, 350 years of service among the 6 of us. Add the previous 6, the previous 12. We're over 1,000 years of dedicated service to emergency medical services. Folks, that's a freaking millennium, okay? A millennium of service. I got to thinking, well, all right, we're legends, I guess they call us. But with that number of years of service, maybe we ought to also think of ourselves as the Society of Western Pennsylvania EMS Artifacts. That would be another way to look at it. But all my colleagues here told wonderful stories today, stories that are steeped in hard work, dedication to their community, compassion, passion for the patients, to do good for other people in their communities. And we heard that theme throughout the morning today. But I also think maybe there's something else about all of that. And I think about astronaut Michael Collins from Apollo 11 on the famous crew in 1969 that landed humans on the moon and walked on the moon for the first time. When Mike Collins was asked, how in the heck did you get picked for this mission? How did your crew happen to be the crew to be the first on the moon? And he thought about it a minute, and he said pretty simply, we were lucky. Neil Armstrong was born in 1930. Buzz Aldrin was born in 1930. I was born in 1930. We were lucky to be at the right place and at the right point in time when the space program was just coming of age. And I think about that. All of us in this room, not just the ones up here on the stage, but all of us, we're pretty darn lucky when you think about it. We grew up and became adults at a time when EMS was just starting to take off and coming of age. And we had unique opportunities to build the foundation for others that are going to follow us. And that's just an amazing legacy that we all have left for future generations. Especially now it's come around because, Apollo days landing on the moon. Now they have passed the torch to the new generation, the Artemis generation of space explorers with a new mission and new technology and new ways of doing things. And that's what we need to do, pass the torch now to that next generation for them to come up with new ways and innovative ideas to sustain EMS well into the future. Well, my background and when I started is a little different than a lot of the folks here. I'm not from Western Pennsylvania, so Yuns will have to just bear with me a minute as I try my Pittsburghese a little bit. No, just kidding. But my story started in a small city in Vero Beach in Florida called Vero Beach, Florida. I had 1970 BE, 1970 B, not BC or AD, BE. You know what that is, right? Before emergency. The show hadn't come out yet, 1970, came out in 1972. And me and my best friend, David Thompson, we were paper boys for the Miami Herald. Anybody out there ever been a paper boy or a paper girl? We're out there delivering newspapers at 5 a.m. by ourselves on the streets of the city. Now, we don't have paper boys and paper girls today because if you did, your parents would be arrested for child neglect, okay? Wouldn't happen. But our bureau chief of the paper was a guy by the name of Phil Long, and he was the guy who was our boss, and he'd come in every once in a while with his white coveralls on because he was a member of the Vero Beach Volunteer Fire Department. And my friend David, we were enamored with this. We said, wow, that's really cool. What's that all about? And he offered to take us down to the main fire station. There we met a genial, kind, gentlemanly fire captain by the name of Harwell Grice, Captain Harwell Grice. And Captain Grice took us around the station, introduced us to everybody, treated us like adults, was concerned about us, even gave us honorary membership cards in the Vero Beach Volunteer Fire Department. Wow, I was hooked. I wanted to be a firefighter when I grew up. Wow, amazing. We even got to hang out at the station a few more times and visit with them, and they treated us so respectfully. Fast forward to a few years later, now we're 1974, my family moves to north central Pennsylvania, to beautiful Nippenose Valley, south of Jersey Shore. That's the borough of Jersey Shore. That's not the beach you go to in New Jersey, by the way. And I was a nerdy kid in high school, and I wanted to get involved. I knew in Pennsylvania you could be a junior firefighter. I didn't know anybody in Nippenose Valley. We had no connections. So I wrote a letter. Dear Fire Chief. That was it. Didn't even know his name. I was interested in becoming a member of the volunteer fire department and being a junior member. So I send this letter out and think maybe I'll probably never hear anything of it. 2 weeks later, on a cold November evening, knock on the door. I'm upstairs in my bedroom, and my mother yells up, "Stephen, the fire chief is here to see you." Whoa, the fire chief. I come running down the steps expecting to see somebody in a uniform with a gold badge or something like that. Oh no. Fire Chief Jim Martin of the Nippenose Valley Volunteer Fire Company was there in a green parka, okay? He sat at the table and said he'd welcome me up to the meeting, to come Thursday night to join, to meet the rest of the guys. And from that point, everything took off. I was elected secretary at age 17 because no adult person in their right mind would want that job. And then to really mess things up, I was elected deputy chief at age 19. That got some of the old guys a little stirred up. I tell that story because there were two brief moments there with Captain Grice and Chief Martin where take a 12-year-old kid, 16-year-old kid, and pay attention to them and show an interest in them as an individual, in what they want to do, and that was just an amazing experience. And I tell that story to firefighters and paramedics around the country. I say, look, when the kids come in and they want to tour and want to talk to you about your career because they look up to you, give them the time. Give them your interest. Show them you're concerned. Because that few moments that you're with them that you're going to long forget, that 12 or 16-year-old is never going to forget. And that's what got me started on this adventure of EMS, as we call it. So from there, I was lucky enough to get accepted into the very first paramedic training program at Williamsport Hospital, worked as a field medic, an instructor, and had some great mentors there like Terry Kemp, who put together the rigorous program of 2,200 hours, taught us not just how to do things, but why we were doing them. I was the youngest in the class. Chuck Stutzman was the oldest in the class. He and I became partners. I think because nobody knew who to stick with Chuck, so they gave it to me. So, but no, Chuck was a great guy. Learned so much from him as a mentor, how to treat people, how to treat trauma. And he was a man with more than one Purple Heart, but a real heart that was big as gold. And I was there a few years, helped run the paramedic education program. We got that accredited from the AMA, Commission on Health Education Accreditation Programs, or whatever it's called. We were one of the first 3 to get accredited, along with Dr. Walt Stoy's program at the Center for Emergency Medicine. But Walt, I checked this out. Our program was the first one to be accredited without any qualifications. Just saying. Great experience there. Then I got recruited to go to Erie, Pennsylvania. The EMS system had fallen apart. I mean, literally, private providers were there racing each other to the scene, and Mayor Louis J. Tullio, who was a protege of Richard Daley in Chicago, he decided to kick them all the hell out, and lo and behold, they needed a solution. And a consultant by the name of Dave Ross and Bob Porter came in and designed literally the first collaborative nonprofit organization owned by several hospitals with an agreement with the city, with a municipality, to run EMS for the city of Erie. It was the first of its kind. And it's successful to this very day. I was there for 9 years, helped develop the membership program, helped guide the organization to the first ambulance service licensed in the state of Pennsylvania. And it was a marvelous experience. And I'm pleased that Dave Bosnock and Annie Jones and Bruce Mills are here, some of my colleagues who I worked with over the years there. I got this crazy notion to go to law school. And my friend Bob Porter and Raymond Fells, who was our public relations expert, encouraged me to go to law school. So I went to law school in Duquesne. Of course, I had to find a replacement for my job, by the way, and I had to interview people. And one of the people who applied for my job as vice president of EmergiCare at the time was a fellow you may know by the name of Doug Wolfberg, okay? He interviewed for my job back in 1990 before I went to law school. And all I could say, Doug, is a darn good thing we didn't hire you back then, okay? Or we wouldn't have PWW today. But from there, after law school, I worked at a couple big firms, and then Doug and I got this crazy notion with Jim Page to start this law firm at the end of 1999 to represent EMS agencies. And I remember talking to Jim on the phone and he asked us, do you think there's enough money in this? Do you think there's enough business in this? And Doug and I already knew, because our plates were full. EMS organizations have a lot of problems, okay? They need legal help. So we're pleased that we've been able to provide some of that help over the last 26 years. So in the course of my career, I was thinking about what can I share that I learned, stuff that maybe others can take home to others and share, and, from my experiences and my ups and downs, because I certainly made a lot of mistakes along the way. But there's 4 of them I can think of. One is, always remember, no one has a job any more important than anyone else on this planet. And those who truly embrace this approach of dealing with others, those who truly believe that we can be here one day on this planet and gone the next, and the earth will continue to spin around its axis, they're the folks who have the humility and the understanding to deal effectively with people. And they're the ones who are going to gain respect. So you got to know your people, and you can't treat them based on title, position, or whatever. Nobody has a job any more important than anyone else in this business. Secondly, a simple principle. God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. That's tough for us because we're a bunch of type A, hard-driving personalities, right? We like to steal the show, tell everybody our opinion about things, but we got to sit back and listen. And somebody asked me at a conference one time, what did you actually do up at EmergiCare that really made a difference? And I thought to myself, wrote a lot of emails, policies, went to a lot of meetings, wasteful meetings. But there's one thing I did that made a difference in the organization. And that is, every month I'd wear a blue shirt like everybody else, have index cards in my pocket, and start riding with the crews and running from one crew to the next. And by the end of that shift, those cards are filled up front and back with their frustrations, their concerns, their issues, many of which were so important to them, but so easy to fix. They just had been ignored. And that is something that I learned, to listen to people, especially the people on the front line. The third thing I learned was this: don't take things personally. Try to let things go in one ear and out the other. And that's really hard because we're dealing with a stressful business with people, patients, and other people yelling and screaming at us. And it's easy to lower yourself down to their level and bark back at them. Don't do it. Pause, reflect. Don't react. Don't let that other person's reality become your reality. And the last one, as Ed mentioned, is mentorship. Lift people up. We've got a fundamental responsibility to do that as EMS leaders, to lift others up, to help them along the road of success in EMS. And I've had a lot of good mentors in my career. I mentioned a few of them. Many of them, you wouldn't even know their names because so many in our profession do so many good things for other people and for their community, and they don't have the blessing of being recognized like we are being recognized today. So be a mentor. Well, I got to thank some people along the road here. First, I want to thank my family, my parents who helped me out early on. They're no longer with us. And my kids, Laura and Justin, adults now. I thank them for putting up with me over the years and all the things I did for my career. I missed a lot of soccer games and a lot of equestrian events as a result. But the good news is we can go for round 2 because we're now blessed with 5 grandchildren, okay? Calvin, Jace, Lucy, Luca, and Lawson. So we're looking forward to spending more time with them someday. So then I got partners. 2 in particular I want to mention. First off, my law partner, I underline law, okay? Law partner, business partner, Doug Wolfberg. 26 years ago, we quit our good-paying jobs at big law firms. We maxed out our credit cards. We second mortgaged our houses on this adventure of creating this EMS law firm. And I got to tell you, Doug, it's been a privilege and honor to work with you over those years, 26 years, and our amazing team that we put together at PWW, some of whom are with us here today, and thank you for that. Frankly, when you look at any business, you ever see a business that lasts, a partnership can last for 26 years? You don't see that anymore, especially a law partnership because lawyers can't get along with each other in the first place. But we have. And that is a testament to our relationship, Doug. The next partner is the most important partner, my life partner, Jill. Jill's my spouse, my mentor, my colleague, my confidant, my counselor, the one who keeps me on the straight and narrow, my teammate, and just about everything I've done in recent memory, because my memory's starting to fail a little bit. So Jill has amazing qualities. She has kindness. She's happy, upbeat, positive, helpful, all these wonderful things, and she's a beautiful person, both inside and out. Did I get all that right, honey? Just checking. And there's another quality she has. She has an exceptionally keen mind. She has a mind like a steel trap, okay? So at conferences, if people are walking up towards us at the booth, and I see them coming, I'm kind of embarrassed. I know that person, but I don't know their name. She knows immediately who they are, where they're from, probably knows a little bit about them, and she's whispering in my ear, saving me from embarrassment. The only downside of that is that exceptionally keen mind works in other ways and can cause me problems in other areas, which I won't go into. So, got to have family. Lastly, I just want to close with a couple of quick quotes. One from the late, great Jim Page, world-renowned fire chief, writer and technical advisor for the show Emergency, one of the first EMS lawyers, state EMS director, and our partner who started PWW with us. Before Jim died, he gave a speech to a group of EMTs and paramedics, a large group, and it was entitled Saving Our Society. And in that speech, he used this quote: providing simple acts of human kindness amidst social upheaval and barbarism is what we need to do. Small acts of human kindness amid social upheaval and barbarism is what's going to save our society. And I got to thinking about that and said, boy, when we uncovered that speech, Jim, talking about society as social upheaval and barbarism, he said, we have the opportunity to exercise that power every day. I thought those are harsh words then. Today, fast forward, not so harsh in today's polarized society. So those words stick with us in terms of how important it is to be kind to people, to consider that every other person you meet may be struggling with an issue or dealing with a difficult situation that we know nothing about. And we always got to put ourselves in that other person's shoes and exhibit some empathy and kindness. Very important. Lastly is a quote from Joel Osteen, which I think summarizes EMS very well. Our job is not to judge. Our job is not to decide whether somebody deserves our treatment or our care. Our job is to lift the fallen, to heal the hurting, and repair the broken. And I think about that quote alone epitomizes the true professional paramedic, because it emphasizes compassion, it emphasizes hope, and it emphasizes that whatever we do, we have to do it without qualification, without regard to any other characteristic that they may have. And that's what it's all about. Ladies and gentlemen, I can't think of another job on this planet where you have the ability to literally change someone's life in an instant, the ability to have an impact on human life the way we do. There's no job like that. And we should all be proud of what we do in our communities. It's amazing work that we do. That work that Jim Page described so rightfully as the noblest of all professions. Thank you all for coming today. I really have to say we are all, on behalf of my colleagues, so grateful for you all being here. We appreciate the fact that you spent this morning with us, and we so are grateful for your time today. Thank you very much.